What is up, guys? It is your boy K to the E to the N to the dollars. Today we are going to be reacting to a new death battle video. It's going to be Shigaraki versus Mahito. As you can see right here, we already have Mahito on the screen. And yeah, let's pretty much get into it. We just reacted to Doomslayer or Doom versus Master Chief. I won't spoil who won. Go check that video out. That being said, let's go ahead into this one right here. I thought you was ending stream. Nah, I'm doing YouTube videos.
Shigaraki versus Mahito,
the symbol of fear, and it's our versus the human disaster curse.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick,
and it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Tenko Shimura was just a sweet, shy boy who loved superheroes.
But sometimes the hand of
Oh,
fate
this one, by the way, it's
can't
amazing.
sweet shy boys.
Ruthlessly
beaten and
Two
abused
animes
by
as
his
well, it's
hero-hating father, Tenko pushed beyond his emotional limits until he activated his inherent superpower, or quirk.
It wasn't something cool like flight or super strength. In his terror, he accidentally killed his whole family. Well, except for dear old dad. That one was intentional.
Tenko wandered the streets alone, silently begging for someone, anyone, to help him. If only a hero was there to save him. But instead, the only open hand he found belonged to the devil.
All for one. The greatest supervillain in history.
He took Tenko under his wing, feeding a hatred of everyone and everything, and grooming him to one day lead his League of Villains in destroying hero society.
With that came a new name, Tomura Shigaraki, and an absolutely nightmarish quirk, Decay. It does what it says on the tin. Anything Shiggy touches with all 5 fingers turns to dust. The perfect power for someone who just wants to destroy. Pretty menacing, if not for that dorky-ass costume. I get it, hands are his thing, but come on, they just look so dumb and fake.
Oh, those aren't prosthetics. Those are real hands from his family that he killed, attached to his face, and explicitly commanded to be left there by his mentor so that he would never forget his rage.
Okay.
While his use of Decay started off relatively weak, it rapidly increased in power and range as Shigaraki came into his own.
Decay isn't even limited to whatever he's touching. Anything that touches something he's decaying also decays.
Spreading like an all-consuming miasma that can wipe out anything from an enormous tower to an entire city.
If Decay reaches you, your only hope is to isolate the body part that is disintegrating before it gets to something vital.
After years of training with the greatest supervillain of all time, Shigaraki was finally put in charge of his own team with
I'm trying to think right now because I know both of these characters pretty well. Pretty fucking well. The thing is that hopefully they explain it. It's something to have to do with Mahito, and if they don't say, I'll say it afterwards.
One mission. He must kill his master's rival, the #1 hero, All Might.
Only to fall flat on his face.
Shigaraki was a terrible leader, quick-tempered, short-sighted, and, well...
Cringe! Oh, he's just so cringe. He uses
tempered, short-sighted...
He stopped them for real?
And, well...
Cringe! Oh, he's just so cringe. He uses gamer lingo unironically. He whines like a baby when things don't go his way. He's the kind of guy who would say normie in real life.
Damn, Stain slammed his
normies.
But they say defeat.
I forgot that even happened. Wow.
Only through struggle could Shigaraki manifest his dark conviction.
Right as All Might's new protege, Izuku Midoriya, was coming into his own as well.
These two rivals, the inheritors,
the
League of Villains all by for one double KO'd each other, leaving Shigaraki to lead the League of Villains all by himself.
And with the stakes higher than ever before, Shigaraki stepped up. He personally battled the monstrous Gigantomachia for a month and a half straight, and conquered other villain organizations to create the Paranormal Liberation Front.
He battled him for a month straight? Bro.
Thousands of new soldiers for his personal
that is
army.
Broken as hell.
To impress All for One's personal
depends if he was holding back
Dr.
or not.
Ujiko, who spent months upgrading Shigaraki's body to make it more like his sensei's. It might have been constant agony, but Shiggy went from Chud to Chad.
Ujiko's experimentation vastly increased Shigaraki's strength, speed, and durability, enough to match and surpass even All Might's absurd power.
Sharing All Might's power between them, Deku and Bakugo were able to punch an island-sized hole in a cloud that reached 24 miles into the sky. We've calculated that before to be nearly 80 million megatons of TNT, almost as much as the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs.
And Shigaraki can now move fast enough that his body produces hypersonic shockwaves and can even catch laser beams.
And he's tough enough to survive Star and Stripes Intercontinental Ballistic Cruise Punch.
En Cold Stone hacemos los
They wasted the fuck out of her, by the way.
bizcochos a diario, en cada tienda, siempre frescos, creativos para toda ocasión. Date el
He needed a bigger
Now
push.
the new name for my penis. Move over, gigantic Omega Storm. Anyway, it also made a blast so big it showed up against the curvature of the Earth.
Though he might seem invincible, when Shigaraki's body is pushed hard enough, he will evolve into a state of uncontrollable power.
So Decay became? Oh shit, more hands!
Shigaraki can spontaneously generate flesh into existence, seemingly oceans of it in an instant, whenever he wants. He can even use it as a type of
Why can he do that? Bro, she was woman. Oh my. But I feel like there's animes that suck at showing women. Suck. This is one of those animes. This anime sucks at showing women.
armor to defend himself in close
Suck,
combat.
bro.
But that's nothing compared to Ujiko's greatest.
The only one that did good was the bunny girl. I forgot her name. And because not even Lady Midnight, she got bodied for no fucking reason. No reason.
Gift. Shigaraki wanted to be the new All for One.
Some of the
So
teachers
what
are
better
alright.
way than the old man's quirk?
All for One's quirk, All for One, allows its user to steal and store quirks with just a touch.
Yeah, just broke
And
my
All for
heart.
One has
There's gonna be a lot of spoilers here, by the way, if you haven't watched My Hero Academia.
hundreds of them stored up, collected over the years.
Each quirk is connected to a memory of its user's essence in the form of a spirit, a vestige.
And like a piece of their soul. They exist in this kinda psychic world in Shigaraki's body and can even act as a spiritual defense should it be invaded.
And
That
with
one
those
was
vestiges
fire.
came quirks like super fast healing, air blasts, radio waves, flight, telekinesis, teleportation of others, and the ability to track foes.
He can even combine multiple quirks together, like in this big-ass electric Kamehameha.
However, any vestige stolen or destroyed will also remove that quirk from Shigaraki's repertoire.
Yeah, they had to
They're
nerf
also
him.
sentient, and some can even fight for control.
Which is when the second shoe finally dropped. Because Shigaraki also got All for One's vestige, that means All for One was now in possession of a shiny new body that he'd spent the last 15 years molding for him to take over.
Shigaraki's entire existence was planned from the beginning. Why? Because All Might's previous mentor was Nana Shimura, Tanko's grandmother.
Oh, that to mess with All Might. That is some next level hating right there.
He manipulated Shigaraki's entire life, all for one purpose: to create a soul so corrupted it would grind away at All Might's perfect world, allowing All for One to take full control.
But All for One's possession wasn't complete, and Shiggy managed to fight his way back to the top, literally decaying his way through vestiges in the process, all to fight his rival Deku one last time.
Despite Izuku's best efforts to save him, Shigaraki was too far gone. His spirit decayed by years of venomous hatred.
Spoilers! Spoilers!
Boomstick.
No hating father.
Too many spoilers.
LLC. Brother, all that congealed. Humans felt
This fear.
man's greatest since Canehood Gold LLC.
I haven't heard. I was not gonna see
Ever
spoilers.
since Cain slew his
I haven't seen the
brother
ending of it
Abel
yet.
and wetted his fields with his blood, man's greatest fear has been his fellow man.
But what if this fear took on a life of its own?
What if all that negative emotion humans felt
Right.
for one
Yeah,
another
Kokami.
spilled from their bodies and congealed, forming, over time, a living being fueled by malice, which believes in nothing but the law of the jungle?
Well, then you'd have the special grade curse with the patch face, Mahito. Oh, I've had people tell me I've become a human disaster curse when I've had too many mojitos.
Mahito is one of the deadliest beings to ever afflict mankind. He's no mere mortal, though, but a cursed spirit. Innumerable spirits exist, weaker or stronger depending on the amount of anxieties,
Name
jealousies,
means
hatreds,
true
and fears
person.
humans feel
Mahito's name means true person. Lives in
about
us.
them.
Like the fear of locusts, kinda weak. Or the fear of smallpox, getting stronger, or the fear of fire. Oh, goodbye, Tokyo.
So it follows that mankind's fear of itself would be extremely powerful. Those negative emotions manifest as Mahito, a being composed of cursed energy.
It's basically like evil ki. Cursed energy can be used to make spirits way stronger, faster, and tougher than any normal human. And it's invisible, making curses like Mahito impossible for the untrained eye to see. Only a life or death situation can galvanize a normal person to see a cursed spirit.
That also makes cursed spirits virtually immune to physical damage. They may be physically present in space, but can only be harmed by attacks that embody spirit matter like cursed energy.
Which makes curses insanely hard to get rid of, like ghosts, cockroaches, or my ex. That's why you need a jujutsu sorcerer to come in and
Did he just call his ex a ghost cockroach? I'm gonna use that.
sand the shit out of them. They call it exorcism, but I like the way I said it better.
Curses and sorcerers have battled each other for millennia, waging an endless war over the fate of humanity. Almost exclusively in Japan, though, for some reason.
But Mahito was special. You see, most curses are basically dumb animals, but Mahito has so much cursed energy that it gave him sentience.
So he was recruited by Kenjaku alongside other special grade disaster curses to wreak havoc upon the world. In fact, they made Mahito their leader.
And even more frightening than intelligence and bloodlust, Mahito possessed philosophy.
Perhaps informed by the tragic meaninglessness of interhuman conflict, Mahito is an existential nihilist, believing in nothing but his own will to power. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and Mahito is the wolf.
Which also makes him kind of a goofball. If nothing matters, why not have fun with the slaughter? Really get your steps in. He loves to dig around and toy with your emotions like a cartoon character before slitting your throat.
An appropriate analogy considering his curse technique, idol transfiguration.
Using his cursed energy, Mahito can control anyone's soul with just a touch, including his own. In fact, he's so good at manipulating his own soul that you can't even kill the bastard without directly targeting it.
In Jujutsu Kaisen, the soul and the body share an immutable connection. Whatever happens to the former affects the latter.
This lets Mahito squash, stretch, and shape-shift his body into literally anything he wants, like Play-Doh. He can turn his limbs into blades or clubs, grow wings like a bird or fins like a fish, reform his body around injuries, or even create clones.
Curse users are naturally unharmed by their own ability. Should he touch a human,
Or even
I'm not gonna hold you. The fact that he learned this from Gojo and he did it that same moment is insane, gang. He did the same thing that Gojo did, but he did it in a 0.2 second variation. Gojo did a 0.316. That's how good this nigga was. That's how good this nigga was. He learned from the best off of one single show. One show. That's how the human brain is supposed to work, by the way. You see it, you replicate it, and you go from it. You go from there.
create clones.
curse
He has the
users are
same
naturally
feat
unharmed by their
for
own
the time he
ability.
was there.
Should he touch
Bro,
a
that was
human,
wild.
though, his alterations to their body are instantly fatal.
And since he's attacking your soul, those physical wounds are gonna be impossible to heal.
Even if his alteration isn't directly fatal, the human body won't last more than a few moments in a transfigured state.
All that with one touch. God, I thought herpes was bad.
His powers mean Mahito treats humans as effectively disposable dolls that he can gleefully
That was
experiment
wild.
on. The more casualties, the better, especially if he gets to break your spirit first and watch you suffer.
And this was gonna happen. I can't wait for them to come back. They're gonna run with anime when they come back. It's just gonna be them in One Piece again.
Even more twisted is when he
Piece
combines
is going
two
band for band with
transfigured
every
humans
anime, man.
together for soul multiplicity. Essentially a giant torrent of
Also,
body
the characters
horror
here are
flesh
so
that he
amazing.
repels at an opponent.
This
Yeah.
anime is so
Mahito
perfect.
is unbelievably creative with his application
believe
of
DJ
idol
didn't like this.
transfiguration. And despite being a newborn curse, consistently keeps experienced sorcerers on the back foot.
It helps that he's a quick study who's picked up a
He's a
number
what?
of
Its experience of idol transfiguration. And despite being a newborn curse, consistently keeps experienced sorcerers on the back foot.
It helps that he's a quick study who's picked up a number of different curse techniques, like the Black Flash.
By applying cursed energy within 1 microsecond of an impact with an enemy, space itself will distort, exponentially amplifying its force by a factor of 2.5.
Not only does this hurt like a mother, it restores your curse technique and gets you fully in the zone.
And would require reflex reflexes moving nearly
Really?
1,000 times the speed of sound.
It restores it?
Then that Mahito
Damn,
also
so
unlocked the
Yuji had a
pinnacle of sorcerer
broken ass
techniques,
ability.
The domain expansion.
This was so funny
Oh
when he
shit!
did it to
More hands!
this one.
The domain is like a barrier of cursed energy, but if you're caught inside, Mahito can use idle transfiguration instantly without even needing to touch you.
It's called the self-embodiment of perfection, the ultimate expression of Mahito's absolute control over his victim's body and soul. The only time it ever failed was against the student sorcerer and Mahito's archenemy, Yuji Itadori.
Because not only was Yuji a barf-inducing goody little two-shoes who believed in the inalienable rights of all living things, blah, 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 he also had a curse inside of him.
The king of curses,
The
Sukuna.
main
Which meant
expense.
Mahito's ability affected both souls in Yuji's body. Sukuna didn't like that. No surprise, and kicked Mahito's ass, forcing Patchface to fight with a handicap whenever facing his pink-haired menace.
Yuji's belief in the value
That's
of human
true, I
life
forgot
flew
about
directly
that.
in
I
the
mean, I
face of
remember
the
that,
world
but
Mahito
I forgot
knew
that he was his
cruel
natural
and
enemy.
meaningless. So he made it his mission to crush Yuji's spirit before killing him, murdering his friends, defiling their corpses, and brutally battering him before going in for the kill.
And he's got the strength to do it. Mahito's one of the most powerful curses in the world, and his growth is exponential.
Fellow disaster
Yep.
curse Jogo was able to summon a massive meteor capable of reducing the city of Shibuya to ash.
That'd take an energy of over 800 kilotons of TNT.
And Mahito can take as good as he can give, especially when, in the throes of struggle against Yuji, he evolved, unlocking a vastly more powerful form, the instant body of distorted killing.
Complete with armored exoskeleton and arm blades, this was a taste of the almighty curse Mahito was growing into, a true blight on all
Defeated
mankind.
Naomi,
When
Otome
at
Kamaru
last,
Nobara
in a bitter
into
battle
Slam
of resolve,
Yuji
Yuji won out.
created the
In a
crown.
dog-eat-dog
Thank Numerous Black
world,
Fashion
there
for
was
this
now
photo.
a bigger wolf.
So he tucked
As an
tail
ultimate
and ran
ability, I think
away like a
JJK is
bitch.
top 5. The
What do you
idea of the
know?
main is
Life
awesome.
suddenly
Yes.
became a whole lot more meaningful the second it looked like it
Ultimate,
was
yes.
about to end.
All that gleeful
It's one of those few concepts that you can be like, yo, I'm not gonna hold you. Fire.
nihilism, just a bitter hypocrisy in the end.
For him, maybe, but Mahito
Yeah,
found a
when they did him
convert in his
dirty here was
archenemy.
insane.
After a battle that wiped out thousands of innocent people,
But he deserved it.
Yuji's youthful
I'm not saying he
spirit
didn't
was
deserve it, he
gone.
deserved it.
The
It
only
was
thing left
crazy how
that
he got
mattered was exercising this
Oh.
curse.
In a way, that was Mahito's final victory, the destruction of another human being's soul. He may not have been around to see it, but the curse Mahito inflicted on the world would bring it to its knees.
Now, what?
Hey, do you see that join button? Yeah, that one. That's your ticket on to help get it through all possible.
Oh,
Mahito should win this. Mahito should win this. And it's gonna be real simple. I'm not gonna say why, but he should win this.
Escoge uno de los nuevos Deli Heroes de 6.
I didn't check the poll. Hold on. Let me check the poll real quick. Hold on. Let me check the poll real quick. Before we see the fight, let's see the poll. No. View result. Nobody voted. Well, I'm taking Mahito. That's crazy. I have my feelings. I'm not gonna hold you. I don't care. It's in the past now. A version of him died. Hell, DJ.
I'd heard of a powerful villain stalking these parts. My organization is going to tear this putrid world down around us. We could use a freak of your talents.
Little old me. Do I want to be king of the social rejects? How about I bring them your head instead?
Fine by me. Let's call this your audition. Sick'em.
No move. That is true. If he's gonna fight him, he's gonna fight the League of Villains as well. But it can't be everybody though. That's kind of stupid. Because Mahito also has his. Woo!
Game over. Did you see that? God, how lame!
Be careful. Be careful with the clone. The clone is the one that's gonna fuck you up.
Audition over. Did I get the part? Decay!
Black blood.
What a rush!
Yeah, that form is not gonna beat him.
That all you got?
You can't beat him.
Domain expansion.
And that's when it's done. And that's when it's done.
I can read your soul. You're just a scared little boy whose daddy is mean and wants to make it everyone else's problem. Grow up.
Hands off my masterpiece.
Okay. You broke the domain. Not bad.
I felt your soul too. You only hate humanity because you were born that way. Totally random. I hate them for a reason. You grow up.
He loses?
Wiz?
I thought the domain expansion was gonna win
Power
it.
sets, this match was a puzzle to figure out, which is why we're breaking it down to 3 categories: physical stats, survivability, and their powers.
But first, let's address one thing. Could Shigaraki even see Mahito? He's an invisible curse after all.
Cursed energy and quirks are notably different, and Shigaraki wouldn't be able to see curses normally. However, even regular humans can spontaneously develop the ability to see curses in life and death scenarios. And with the Search quirk, Shigaraki would have had no problem tracking it.
So seeing Mahito wouldn't have been an issue. With that out of the way, we can jump into their stats.
This was no contest. Despite the disaster curses being able to destroy entire cities with their cursed energy, Shigaraki's scaling to Deku and Bakugo meant he was calculably millions of times stronger.
He was faster too, considering he could react to light beams, while Mahito's Black Flash capped out at nearly 1,000 times the speed of sound. Nothing to scoff at, but Shiggy was thousands of times faster. Shigaraki takes stats.
But survivability was a little trickier to figure out.
Yep, in terms of raw durability, Shigaraki was a lot tougher, and his ability to generate new flesh meant that he could heal any wounds he might receive super easy.
However, Mahito is a curse and is immune to the kind of overwhelming physical damage Shigaraki could dish out. Not only that, Mahito's regenerative ability via idle transfiguration meant that he'd come back from anything
The
short
soul
of
thing is kind of
spiritual
bullshit.
damage.
Considering Mahito's unique curse body, he should actually get the edge in survivability.
Which presents a crucial question. Could Shigaraki even kill a curse like Mahito in the first place?
Or would Mahito's unkillability give him the time he needed to eventually put Shiggy down with idle transfiguration?
It all comes down to their powers.
Shigaraki had a lot more variety with all of the crazy quirks All For One had collected over all the years, but none that we know of could properly kill a curse. That didn't mean idle transfiguration was a surefire bet either, though.
Of all things, Shigaraki's vestiges served as a spiritual shield from the effects of idle transfiguration. The fact that Mahito could not avoid targeting Sukuna while attacking Yuji meant that he couldn't target specific souls inside a person.
And Shiggy has hundreds of soul-like entities inside of him. Sure, each one down means he loses a quirk, but that's more than enough time to land a single hit with Decay, especially considering how much faster Shiggy is.
And Mahito has no way to defend against Shigaraki's primary quirk. Decay has affected spiritual beings in the past, again, vestiges. In fact, he was able to damage Deku's vestige and
Whoa!
him like everyone else.
giving Shigaraki the third and final edge. It was a unique duel to the death, but Shigaraki's overwhelming might, unstoppable powers, and deadly decay spelled the end.
That
of the
was
disaster
impressive.
curse.
Nothing else to say. You really gotta hand it to Shigaraki.
The winner is Tomura Shigaraki.
I'll give it
Next
to him.
time
I'll
on
give it to
Death
him.
Battle.
You have to give it to them. That's been your boy KTD. Thank you for watching that video. It was Shigaraki versus Mahito. I thought Mahito was gonna win it, but clearly it was Shigaraki. He has the more powers and the more hacks and debuffs and whatever the case may be. And he can touch his soul. So if you can touch his soul, he's pretty much cooked. But yeah, appreciate that watching. I appreciate you guys joining me and watching that YouTube video. Hopefully we'll see you on the next one. Take care and peace. Also, link in the video is gonna be in the bottom and things of that nature of previous videos. Anyways, bye. All right, now that the YouTube videos are done, I feel like there's one more thing to do. I'm gonna rate out chat. It's really good. I would recommend the newest one. We'll watch it in another stream. Alright, chat. I'm gonna go rate out to Hand Banan 88. She's playing, he or she is playing Marvel Rivals. So drop a follow, type nice things in the chat and things of that nature. Be your boy KTD, $10 to the dollars. Take care. It was lovely streaming for you guys today. I'll be seeing y'all tomorrow. Take care and peace. Tomorrow we're gonna be having, we're gonna be streaming Fortnite at the beginning. Alright, bye.